Hello, welcome to this short session where I will be discussing red time and blue time. It's a really popular concept developed by David Marquette, who wrote one of the more famous books in management over the past decade, Turn the Ship Around. It's a really useful tool, and this 5-minute session will just introduce it and just talk through perhaps how you could apply it. So red time and blue time, the key thing is that all of our work can be categorized into one of these types of time. And neither is better than the other. The key thing is that we find the right balance or the rhythm between the two. So one thing to think about as we go through this is, would you say that most of your work and where you spend your energy at work is red time? Or would you say that more of it is blue time? We have to find the right rhythm. The rhythm isn't quite right between these two different categories of time. That's where we tend to make more mistakes, or there's a lack of improvement. Sometimes we can become a bit disengaged. We have to find the right balance between the two. So what is red time and what is blue time? If we're focusing on the task, it's highly likely that we're in red time. So red time tends to be where we have our head down, task focused, and we're pedaling away, getting things done. If we're focusing more perhaps on people and thinking about, well, who do we need to do this task, and who would be the right people to have in this team to deliver this task, then it's more likely that we're going to be in blue time. These are different sorts of considerations. So red time would be very much about what do we need to do and how quickly do we need to get it done by. Blue time would be thinking about a little bit more widely, what are the skills, capabilities, and competencies of the people that we need to have on the team. Red work tends, therefore, to be very much focused on doing. So whenever you're clearing your to-do list in the inbox, rattling through work and just getting stuff done, being productive, but nonetheless just head down and tail up, getting things done, we're in the red time, red work. If we're taking a step back from that and pausing to think about things, that's blue time. So red time doing, blue time tends to be taking a step back, thinking about the bigger picture, thinking about what it is that's really important, what we need to achieve, blue time. When we're racing deadlines, that tends to be red time. So if time is the essence, and again, we've got our heads down and we're just cracking on as quickly as we can, that's likely to be our red time. Whereas pausing the clock, deliberately not racing deadlines, creating the time, again, to think and to maybe consider the risks of accepting certain pieces of work, or the priorities that we need to focus on, that sort of thing. Again, all of that involves taking a step back from the red and creating that blue space for us. Operational work tends to be red. It's not to say that there wouldn't be blue time within that. There certainly would be, but it may be predominantly red. Again, where you're following plans and processes and getting things done. More strategic work, where we have to make choices, we have to think about the longer term. Perhaps we have to be a bit more creative. Absolutely, blue work. Creativity tends to happen in the blue time, not the red time. So when we've got our head down and we're perhaps a little bit stressed getting things done, it's almost impossible to be creative. If we want to do creative work, we need to pause all of that to give ourselves that blue time and space to think a little bit more broadly about things. So, and here we come back to our rhythm, and of course we need both. Too much of one tends to lead to issues. Too much of the red tends to lead to repeating the same thing over and over again, lack of improvement. Too much blue, well, that's just lots of meetings and discussions without any action. The only thing that's really happening there is that we're getting older. So we've got to strike the balance between the two. It also depends a little bit on the context that we're working in. So you can see here we've got a swimming pool. It's nice and temperature controlled, perhaps not at the moment. As of April 2023, the swimming pools are all a little bit colder. But ideally, it's a clement temperature. We've probably got a lifeguard knocking around there, so that if anyone gets into difficulty, they can get fished out. It's a safe, controlled environment. If you're swimming in a swimming pool, you can put your head down, you stay in the lane, and you plow up and down. Not a huge amount of thought required. You can train the body and just cover the distance as quickly as you can. Head down, tail up, absolutely fine. Looking at this person here, though, they're in the open water, they're swimming in a lake, and you can see it's choppy, there's tides, there's probably a few things swimming around down there. There's the possibility of hypothermia if we're not sort of switched onto our body temperature, and that sort of thing is probably much colder than the swimming pool. There's real world risk. What our open water swimmer can't do is just simply put their head under the water and swim as fast as they can, because you'll get into difficulty. You find that tides have swept you to where you don't think you're somewhere where you didn't know that you were, and you can lose your bearings, and you might find that you're some way further out than you thought. Just to take a very red time approach to this, again, head down and swim as fast as you can, would be tremendously risky. What the open water swimmer needs to do at regular points is put their head up. They need to orientate themselves. They need to work out where they are and where they're trying to get to, appraise the risks, really think about what's going on around them. That's blue time. And when you do that, it slows you down. So the blue time does mean that you go a little bit slower, but it means that you make good decisions and that you stay safe. The swimming pool represents, I guess, the operational environment. When things get a little bit more strategic, decisions have real consequences. There is real world risk involved in the work that we're doing. We need to be a little bit more like the open water swimmer, with regular little bits of blue time where we look around and we understand what's going on around us. So a couple of questions to think about. If you think about your red time and your blue time, where do you spend most of your time? You mostly red, mostly blue. Do you think you've got the balance right? Have you got the right balance or rhythm between these two types of time? Would you be more effective if the balance was a little bit different? Are there any changes that you could make? Do you need to perhaps protect a little bit of blue time? Or do you have too much blue time, actually? Do you feel that there are lots of discussions and meetings that actually would be better replaced with a bit of action? So there we go. Red time and blue time, useful little concept. And I hope that gives you something